We have Governor Mike Huckabee with us. And Governor, we sure appreciate you being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. Great to be with you. It's going to be a pretty big day in the news with the Mueller report being released by Attorney General Barr, so a lot to kind of chew on today, I think.
Well, we're seeing, I said earlier this morning that we're seeing hypocrisy at maybe new levels, if that's even possible, coming out of the left. And it is just amazing, some of the things that we hear. And of course, the talking point, obviously, in the Democratic Party this morning is keyword spin. And everybody's talking about, well, he was appointed to spin this report for the president. Chuck Schumer saying the process is poison. For a minute there, I thought he was talking about his own party, and then I realized he was talking about this report. But the process is poisoned even before the report is released, and Barr shouldn't be spinning the report. I know you don't believe there's going to be any spin. There's going to be truth. Do you think he's going to mention the past administration in this?
You know, it's one of those things that I just simply don't know, but I do think that he is going to open an investigation. I don't expect him to mention it now because that really wasn't apparently the focus of the Mueller report, and I don't think they ever touched it. But I do think Bill Barr is going to investigate and find out, why did we have this investigation? What was the basis of it? Who told who what? How reliable were those witnesses? And was there a true conspiracy at the highest levels of law enforcement and intelligence in our country that could have gone all the way into the White House? And if so, who exactly authorized some of these things that were clearly illegal? The surveillance and espionage going on a competing presidential candidate of a different party. I mean, these are the kind of things of which governments are taken down. I've said all along, there are three things that we've had. There was a conspiracy. It involved highest levels of government officials. There was also clearly some collusion, and the collusion was with those officials. And the third, there was an attempted coup. There was an attempt to stop the election, meddle with it, keep Trump from winning, and when they didn't, then after the election, a legitimate, serious, and concerted effort to try to bring him down.
You know, and President Trump said last week, and he said it several times, that no president should ever have to go through this again. And boy, does he know that well. And hopefully we can get to the bottom of it too, for the next president, you know, whoever it might be, that something like this never has to happen again.
Dan, I'm convinced the only thing that would make the Democrats happy would be that if Bill Barr personally left the podium, walked over to the White House, put handcuffs on the president, frog marched him across the White House lawn, and stuffed him in a police cruiser and took him away. They're not interested in truth. They never have been. They're interested in a political outcome. And the deception, the outright lies, the duplicity with which they have operated. And I know that sounds like, okay, well, Huckabee, you're a Republican, that's why you're saying it. I'm saying it because if anybody looks at the hard facts in this situation, where you've got people like Jerry Nadler, who after the Whitewater investigation said, we can't release all these documents because it would be illegal. Now he's turning around and demanding that every bit of it be released, even though it's still illegal, and that the Congress of which he is a part of has never changed the law. It's almost as if they think Americans are stupid and we don't know how the Constitution has empowered various branches of government. The Justice Department doesn't make the law. It enforces the law that Congress makes. If Congress doesn't like their laws, they have the power to change it. The Justice Department doesn't.
You know, and I travel about and I do so many town hall meetings around the country. And, you know, everything I hear now in the last few has been, we're so sick of the hypocrisy, that we're so sick. We never thought some of these people were or are Democrats, saying we never ever thought that it was going to go this far, and they're tired of it. And I don't understand why they can't see that. I understand why their hatred, the blinders, the ideological blinders that they have on, and the hatred is outweighing just common sense and a practical look at any of this. And the hypocrisy is just making people sick and tired of politics altogether. And we just got to keep reminding people, not on our side, we better not, because we've got to get to the polls. and make sure that we make this continue to be right. It is amazing. It is amazing.
Dan, I'm convinced that there are a lot of good and decent Democrats around the country. They may think a little differently than me or you, but the fact is they're good people, and they believe in the rule of law, and they believe in the Constitution. And this is a bridge too far for many of them. Late-term abortion, open borders, the unconstitutional going after a sitting president of the United States and trying to overthrow and overturn the results of an election because it didn't go the way of the establishment in their own party. I think these are people who are saying, I may not be able to bring myself to vote for Donald Trump, but I'm not going to go out and vote for a party that has done this to my country and who has taken such a radical left turn and believes in throwing out even private health insurance for 180 million people so Bernie Sanders can put us all on a government program that will not work. It hasn't worked, and it can't work without disrupting the economy, and that we're not going to get rid of airplanes and cars in 10 years. The radicals on the left have taken over the party, and it's just simply more than a lot of decent Democrats around the country are going to be able to handle.
I want to point out, now this is really a digression here, but you're taking a trip and you're bringing some people along with us. I'm going to have the privilege of going along with you again, and tell us about this trip to socialism. But it's a beautiful part of socialism. But tell us about it, because I would love to get as many of our listeners to come along with us.
Well, I hope folks will join us, and of course, Dan, you're going to be giving a number of lectures and talking about the economy, and what a great place to do it. The Baltics, along the Baltic Sea, absolutely some of the most beautiful places on earth, and especially during the summertime when it's so hot in the rest of the country. It's cool and pleasant, and we're going to have an extraordinary time going to places that include Stockholm and Helsinki. We'll be going to, just beautiful places, St. Petersburg. And one of my favorite places that most folks have never thought about is Estonia, which was a part of the old Soviet Union. And it's a beautiful country, but more than that, these are people who lived under socialism. They know what it is. And boy, do they ever embrace and love freedom in such a substantial way. It's going to be a terrific time. We have the whole ship, so it means that like-minded people are going to be with us. It will be a great experience. They'll get to hear you talking about the economy. Former Senator Rick Santorum will be with us. We have a whole array of comedians and musicians that we're bringing with us. We're just going to have a great time, but we're going to learn a lot. And one of the things I hope to do is to contrast with people who have experienced socialism and be able to explain why our country is worth preserving and saving, and just be able to do it in the context of one of the most beautiful places that exist on planet Earth.
It is magnificent. It's going to be a magnificent trip, and I just hope so many of you can join us. We're going to have more information on our website, folks, about this coming up. We're very excited about that. I would love to have a great group of folks, all of you that were at our retreat. Wouldn't it be great if we could be on this trip together? We'd love to see you do that, and this is going to be an amazing trip. And I know, because Yvonne and I had the privilege of being on a trip last year with Governor Huckabee and through the Mediterranean, and it was an amazing trip. And you said something so neat. There's something special about being on a trip like this where you're with so many like-minded people. It really makes a huge difference.
It does. If you're just sitting around and having a chat, you don't think if you bring up a conservative or pro-life point of view that somebody's going to start yelling and screaming at you and trying to throw you overboard. I want to mention the website for the trip is thegreatesttrip.com, thegreatesttrip.com. It's August the 9th through the 17th, and there's cabins available. I hope people will join. If they don't want to join me, that's fine, but they need to join you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They need to come for you, Dan, because you're going to be one of the speakers on our tour, one that I'm very excited about, because I think you do such a brilliant job of making the economy understandable to the average person. So many economists I know, they talk so over the heads of the audience, and unless you're an economist, you don't get it. And you do such a brilliant job of breaking it down, making sense of it, and delivering it in a way that people say, ah, I get that. So a lot of aha moments are in store for the people who go with us to the Baltics August 9th through the 17th.
Thank you. And folks, if you're watching us on TV, and I know so many of you are on one of our outlets, it's on your screen, so you can see the information. It is the greatesttrip.com, thegreatesttrip.com. I hope you'll check it out. It is going to be an incredible time. I know that. I'd love as many of you to come as possible. And I'm so excited to be asked to come. My wife, she's not much on ships, but she made the last one without getting sick. So she's looking forward. She loves to eat, so she's looking forward to the food and the sights, that is for sure. But Yvonne and I are going to have a great time, and we know you will too. We hope you join us. Governor, you have been such a blessing to this administration. And in doing so, you've been such a blessing to America. And you said, you know, we're not saying these things because we are conservatives or we're Republicans. We're saying it because we care about America. We're patriots. You know, I always tell people, second to the Word of God, I love this country. I fought for this country. I believe in it. Would do it again tomorrow if we had to. And we have had, like you, the privilege and the joy of traveling around the world. And even in the state that we're in right now, this is the greatest country on the face of this earth. And we are so thankful to men like you that after an election stood firmly on what you believed was right and what was true and what was going to be good for America. And you knew, first one out of the chute that knew that it was President Trump. And there was no sour grapes. There was no issues. You did what was right for America, and we sure appreciate that.